Hi there, this is Solitude Ronan from Solitude Ronan Films, and welcome to part 21 of my Satyajit Ray season, and this is the final part of the Satyajit Ray season, because today we're going to talk about his last film, The Stranger, from 1991. Sadly, Ray would die the following year, and he actually shot part of this film from an oxygen tent. It stars Utpal Dutt, again apologies for pronunciations, Mamata Shankar, Dipankar Dey, who was in Enemy of the People, Subrata Chatterjee, who was in Energy, who was in a lot of Ray films, including Days and Nights in the Forest, and Rabbi Josh, who has been in Ray films before. Again, taken from a short story, written, directed, and the music by Ray. Again, it kind of encapsulates Ray's films in the sense that it's a simple story, but he just creates characters that you identify with and you want to follow their story. So this one is really simple. It's about a man who comes back from travelling around the world to visit his niece, but her niece and husband don't really know whether he is actually her uncle or an imposter, because there may be money involved that he could perhaps claim under false pretenses. This isn't a Hitchcock film, so really the identity, whether he's the uncle or whether he's not the uncle, there's no real drama or suspense, or it doesn't really matter. It's really about the connections between family, even if you haven't seen them for 35 years. He tells stories about his journeys around the world. It's one of Ray's funnier films, but in the end it's actually rather moving. And that's not just because it's Ray's last film. There's a couple of really nice scenes with one of their friends, or one of their friends and his wife, that comes round to try and debate with the uncle. And again, they have another friend who tries to interrogate him. Again, there's no great plot. It's another deceptively simple film, but again, it's just beautifully told, really nice music, and like I said, at the end it's actually quite moving, even though you don't really know why. And there's a great scene where the uncle takes the family, because it's at the time of festivals, to see some dancing, and the niece joins in, and for some reason that scene has always been quite overwhelmingly emotional for me to watch. I don't really know why. It's got a wonderful, not last line, but certainly the last line in that scene by the uncle is just wonderful. He has a great relationship with the niece's son. He talks about how the son needs to go out in the world and don't stay where you are, look for adventure. Again, I'm not really talking about it much because there is no plot really to talk about. The film itself is fairly static. Obviously, Ray did shoot quite a lot of it from, an auction tent. He wasn't well. So it is very stagey, as his later work became. A bit like Kurosawa in the sense it was more of a static camera, even though Ray never was particularly dynamic with his camera. But again, it's just the characters. The uncle is a very engaging character, and you want to hear about his stories as well. Again, it's perhaps not a Satyajit Ray film that I would watch that often, but it's still really good. So that is The Stranger, which is kind of a fitting conclusion to his work. So, in summing up Ray's work, obviously I've only done 21 films, and he made a few more than that. Summing his work up, I think he is one of the most underrated directors and underappreciated directors of world cinema. A pioneer and a trailblazer as far as India is concerned. A great humanist filmmaker. Again, Kurosawa said not to have seen the cinema of Satyajit Ray is not to have seen the sun and the moon. Again, his films are deceptively simple. There's no great plot machinations in his films. It's about characters, creating characters that you engage with, you root for, you want to see how their stories develop. It's about being universal, because even though his films are set in India for the most part, and obviously there's part of Indian culture that certainly for me I perhaps don't appreciate as much as an Indian audience would, but the ideas of national identity, the ideas of getting away from British colonialism, and obviously the spread of Englishness, if you like, and using the English language as opposed to Bengali. All those themes are there. His films are, again, simply composed. The cinematography in his films are never going to blow you away. His shot compositions are never going to blow you away. He is fairly naturalistic in his style. He just had an eye for simple setups and simplicity. He wasn't a director that was show-offy. He didn't have amazing tracking shots and jump cuts and zooms and all of that. He wasn't a flashy director. But all of his films, I don't think any of the films that I've done in this series, there's maybe a couple of 3-star films, but the majority of them are 4 stars and above. He has tremendous consistency, and again, his films really need to be seen more. Again, Criterion, who have done Fellini box sets and Kurosawa box sets and Bergman box sets, are probably never going to do a Satyajit Ray box set, but they really should. I know they've got the Apu trilogy and Chargulata and The Big City on Criterion, but I think he deserves more. So again, let me know in the comments below if you've seen The Stranger and what you think of it, and what you think of Ray in general. And I hope this series has shone a bit of a ray of light onto his work, because again, watching his films and ones that I'd seen before and watching them again, they are of such a high quality. It always seemed like a really good bloke and intelligent, and just really good films that again shows we're all pretty much the same regardless of what country we're brought up in. Yeah, deceptively simple filmmaker, but his films still resonate and are still rather fantastic. So thanks very much for watching. Apologies that it took about 2 and a bit years to actually finish the season, and I will be shortly announcing the next filmmaker that I'll be looking at film by film. So thank you very much for watching the Satyajit Ray season. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you go watch some of his films, and I'll see you in the future. This is Satyajit Ronan from Satyajit Ronan Films saying farewell.